Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another What Grinds My Gears here at Moto-Tech. It is a wonderful Wednesday. The sun is nice, and it is ride time out here. Hopefully, it does not rain this afternoon, but it will be nice to get out and run on some 2s, 3s, or 4s, depending on what your fancy is out there. And also, a few things here. One, if we send your stuff off to the machine shop, I have to wait on them to get the work done. I can't force them to work faster. And so I will call you. When I tell you I drop it off and I send you a picture, it's been dropped off and everything, I'll call you as soon as they call me, because I don't want to keep bugging them and then they're just not going to want to do any work because they're going to hear that, oh, Moto-Tech calls all the time. So just relax. I understand you want your stuff fast, but the machine shop works as fast as the machine shop works on that. Leads me to other things. When you come by to pay and pick up your bike, come into the office, because you have to pay and you have to sign for your bike to get it back. Please do not walk into my shop and grab your bike and start walking it out the door to your trailer. That's not how that works, because the bike is signed under my shop, under my name. I own that bike per se under my insurance, and until you pay for your services, you don't get the bike back, kind of thing. So not that, we've had that a few times. They're like, oh, I saw you on the phone, I was just gonna load up and then come back in. Yeah, we don't do that, because you're gonna load off and take off, and if you do that, I have to call the cops and then all the paperwork, and it's just a huge circle that we just don't want to go around. So when you do come by, just come inside, wave at me. I'll grab your paperwork. Even if I'm on the phone with another customer, I'll have you sign your stuff, you pay your bill, and then I actually help you load your bike. I mean, that's how we do it here. We go out there and we help people load their stuff all the time. But please just don't walk in here and start pulling your bike out of the shop. It just doesn't work that way, especially since I have other bikes in there. You're really not supposed to be back there. And I'm actually going to start putting a chain up to block everybody's access back there, because we're starting to get more and more that just walk back there to go look at stuff, and that's not what we need here. I do have cameras all over my shop. There's 9 cameras in here, maybe more. I just don't like throwing the actual number out there, but they're inside and outside. So just watch what you do, guys. All right, so which leads me to another aspect. Friends that work on people's stuff. All right, so we are a professional shop here. We have a building, we're bonded, we're insured. We're not bonded, I'm sorry. We're insured, we have garage keepers, we're able to tow, we're able to do everything here because it falls under the legal parameters of owning a shop. We do have licenses, we pay our taxes, we do everything else out there. When we have to outsource like a machinist to come here to drill a bolt out of a frame, things like that, since we don't do that kind of work, we do outsource it. It's a lot cheaper to outsource it. And plus, if a machinist comes out here and they do the work and they mess up, it falls under their insurance and their bonded and insured licensing on that. So, but we've been getting a lot of calls. So I've already picked up 4 bikes this week from people that have their friends or other houses out there that work on stuff, and they're like, hey, and they did an oil change, and I started the bike up when I got home because I trailered home, and oil poured out everywhere. They're missing bolts that go to their clutch cover, and or their derby cover on a Harley, or the bike doesn't want to turn over at all, kind of thing, because they're like, oh, they sprayed a little ether in there and it fired up for a minute just so they can hear it run. They said, oh, it needs to prime the fuel lines. You don't need to prime the fuel lines that way. That's not how it works. But that's a lot of stuff we're getting. So they're calling and saying, hey, they're working on it. They said, hey, take it over to Moto-Tech. They'll fix it for you if it doesn't run. Well, then why would you pay your friends to do the work if they didn't do it right, kind of thing. So please be careful where you take your stuff. We don't call dealerships out by name anymore here, just for that legal parameter there, but a lot of dealership stuff coming this way. I've actually drove in the front of one of them, so they picked up their bike and they loaded it in the back of the trailer on there. That's why I don't have logos and everything on my truck, because of that. It tries to keep the peace, but they had no way of getting here, so they paid it in the tow. The other thing is, we do towing for you. We're $50 in the city of Mobile to go pick up your bike. That is cheaper than anybody else out there, other than your best friend that has a trailer that's going to get up and go pick up your bike for you. If you got that, that's awesome. But we do offer it. It's $50. Nobody else in town charges that low to pick up a bike. I mean, within 20 miles, it's not really that bad, kind of thing. And we do a lot of those. That's why we have to schedule out early in the morning or in the evening to come pick up your bike. So if you want towing, please let us know. We can do all that for you. And but if you do have your friends or house mechanics or backyard guys out there, or or guys that work at the dealership that'll tell you, hey, I'll do it for half the price of my house for you. You got to watch out for those, okay? So be careful. Hopefully you know who they are, and you trust their work, because otherwise you'll bring it here and then we have to go behind them, and sometimes it's more expensive than what they charge. But one, they charge because they don't have overhead, like we have buildings and insurance and power and all that to pay for, kind of thing. But we have to go back and fix whatever the issue was, and we have to find out what the issue is first. So it does get a little pricey on that. And I call pricey, it's usually a little bit more than what if we would normally charge it. So if it's a $200 job, it might be $300 because it takes a little bit to figure out what it is. But other than that, it's been a great week. We are slam packed still. We are still 2 weeks out on everything. So if you drop off today, it is still 2 weeks before I even look at your bike, unfortunately. It has just been slam packed busy. That's crazy. People get some stuff done. They'll leave for 2 or 3 days and they'll come back saying, hey, I need to get more stuff done. I want this done and this done. I'm like, it's going to be another 2 weeks. I wish you had told me that before. I could have ordered everything at one time and did everything to your bike, and you didn't have to wait 2 additional weeks or anything on there. Now, if I can get to it in between, like if something simple, I can think in my head like, oh, it might be just a, bad fuel or a bad battery or whatever. I'll go check it out in between work, because sometimes I work on bikes, and as you guys know, when you work on stuff, sometimes some things get frustrating. It's like, why won't you work? And then you have to take your mind off it, so you go do something else for a little bit, and they're like, oh, that's why, because X, Y, Z. I don't know what it is. But yes, I'm 2 weeks out. So on this episode, we're going to talk about chain brake tools and riveting tools, because I've had so many people call asking, hey, how do I rivet my chain? What tools do I need? Or hey, does this look, I get Facebook messages all the time. Hey, does this rivet look great or good on here? Will it hold? I can't tell by a photo, man. It's really hard to look at something, because especially at a weird angle, like they're snapping it upside down at an angle, and I was like, does it look bigger than the hole that it started with? Well, I don't know, I didn't look. All right, so without further ado, we're going to talk about chain brake tools. I got 2 of them here. I have my trusty one I have there, and then I have an Alpha Moto piece together piece that I've been piecing out, because sometimes you do brake stuff, okay? All right, so this is your riveting tool section here. This does have a handle. You can buy this tool over at Cycle Gear all day long. They're super cheap on there. They do last a while as long as you take care of them. If not, they do break, just like all the other ones. I use the Motion Pro ones here. They're $80 or so, but they last forever, and I've never had a problem. And they're less tools than this. So you have a handle, then you have the turn winch to be able to turn and actually cinch down and all. You have a spring, okay? If you notice, this is a 2-piecer. This thing unscrews, which has a lot of threads in there, so it's going to take me a second to unscrew all this. But that spring is necessary. You must have that spring in there, okay? Otherwise, you're going to break some stuff, especially your tools, all right? So this spring goes inside that little section there, okay? Then you actually have the chain brake push rods. This one is for a 530 chain only. This will not fit a 525, 520, or 418 chain out there, or 420. If you try to do that, you're going to wedge this in there, and you will never get this out without cutting it. Okay. Here is your the 418, 420, and 520 chain brake tool, and it's in here. See how much smaller that is compared to the other one? That is a baby one. Do not use this on a 525 or 530, because you'll literally bend and snap this off, or you'll break it off into your tool, and then you can't get it out anymore, and then you have to go and buy another one of these, okay? Then you have the infamous riveting tool. This is the last step you take after you already get your chain measured out where it needs to be. You put your adjusters all the way in. You get it all lined up to where you can get your master link through it. You get your O-rings all glued up and everything and all that. And then you go to the infamous riveting tool. You see the difference on the other ones. I know it's a little dark here. Let me actually go kick some light on real quick, see if I can get a little better view. There we go. Let's see, we got more light. There we go. Do you see this? It has a round nipple to it on the top. That is what actually opens up or swells open the rivet. When you put it on there, you have to use an anvil backer, see, like this. So that way when you're trying to rivet, you don't push the the pin all the way through. This holds it in the backside. But this is what you do, all right? So this goes all the way up against the rivet, and then you take the outer shell portion here and you roll that all the way over it so that way it stays flush against it. You will torque this down until that nipple on there is no longer visible, meaning that as it goes into, and I actually have some chain here. Can you pull it? See, we have chain tools. So let me take this out. And I actually have examples here. So this piece will actually go into that. As it's pressed in, the nipple will start to disappear, and then you will have a swollen rivet opening. See how small that one is? And that one is actually opened up and swollen. That is what you want. That is what's going to prevent your bike chain and all coming over and opening up and then falling out. We do not want that to happen. All right. So that is a quick lesson on what tools the chain tool is and what it does. All right. So you have rivet remover push pins, which are the 520, 525, and 530 pins, and you'll see the difference. They're really small or really thick. Okay, when it comes to the push rod, and then you only have one rivet tool, and you have the spring. You must have that spring. Okay, that is a necessity. The reason being, that spring there, what it does is that once you get it riveted, or once you break the pin all the way through, or you rivet the hole, as you're coming back, that spring will open up and allow the tool, the rod, to slide back, so that way you can get it off the chain. Okay, so if you do not feel comfortable with it, we do chain and sprockets every week. I do maybe 5 or 6 every single week. We're the go-to because we can order the entire kit for you, get it here in a day or two, maybe 3 days, depending on how UPS is, because they're still pretty crappy right now on delivery times. And then we will get you in and out in the same day. Things like that I can do. Tires, brakes, oil changes, and chain and sprockets I can do all in the same day. So you drop it off, parts get here. I stay late or come in early, and I'll knock out something like that simple before I open up or after I close a little bit so I can get it done and have you pick up the next day kind of thing. So, but other than that, that is your chain brake tool example. Remember, that is what it originally looks like when you first get your chain and you put it through the hole. The bigger hole is after it's been riveted. Okay? And this one here is a stock rivet, and that's a one that you've already compressed in and riveted. These are your clip-ons. Clip-ons are not bad, guys. They have to be clipped in the direction of the chain travel, though. The reason being is it prevents it from backing off, all right, or popping out if it hits something on the way around your chain, your sprocket, your chain guard, and everything else. Okay, but they're not a bad thing. Most of them will come with that. It saves you a few bucks if you buy the one with a clip-on instead of a rivet, because most people don't have rivet tools. I mean, you want a good one that's $80. It's going to last you forever. It only has like 4 working pieces on it. Then that's all you need. Or you can buy, the $40 or $50 ones from Cycle Gear, and it gives a big box and gives you everything you need. But the material is a little weaker than the high-end stuff. And so I use the Cycle Gear ones. I've had that one for about 1.5 years now. I usually replace them every 1 to 2 years because eventually the push rods will bend and they get weak and all that. And because some chains, really good chains, come riveted from the manufacturer, and they are really strong, really tough rivets, and sometimes those little tools like that can't hold up to it. Yes, you can grind it off. If you're gonna get your old one off, you can cut it and everything, but what happens if you bought a 120 length chain, you need 106, and you have to actually break one of the links? So just be careful when you do your work and all that. Otherwise, you can bring it here, we'll knock it out for you, no problem on that, and it's relatively pretty quick for us to do it for you. But we just want you to be safe out there. We don't want you, if you guys saw the picture yesterday, we don't want you riding around like that. I don't even know how the hell that thing goes around the sprocket. I mean, that mind boggled the heck out of me. So, but other than that, I bid you guys adieu, and good luck on your chains, guys.